Hi, and welcome to Not Just Making the Tea, the podcast which discusses the realities of our career and life choices whilst made at school and college. It celebrates the parts that haven't gone to plan as much as those which have. With every chat, we plan to explore what life skills there are to be learnt and how they can influence and help us to be more successful. I'm your host, Rachel Price, founder of Amali.com, the career website for young adults. So I wanted to say thank you for taking the time out to listen to this podcast. I hope that you enjoy the experience and that you will continue to join me and my future guests on our journey. I really appreciate anyone who takes the time to listen, so remember to like, subscribe and send me some feedback and comments. I hope that you'll find these episodes thought-provoking, entertaining and hopefully they'll add some positive vibes for your day. So on that note, let's get started with today's topic. Let's talk about coronavirus and cabin fever, 9 telltale signs and how to help yourself cope. Without doubt, the COVID-19 pandemic is causing everyone's world to shrink and shrink fast. Having spent the past 7 weeks myself in a studio apartment with no balcony or even windows to open, I can totally relate to this topic of conversation. So, how do we cope in such times? And I've done some research to look at what the experts say are the best ways for us to cope when and if cabin fever strikes. So firstly, I guess we need to define what cabin fever is. If self-isolation has been leaving you feeling claustrophobic, irritable and restless, you may well find that you're actually suffering from cabin fever. It's so called because the symptoms tend to appear during extended periods of time spent in a confined indoor space. It can even be bringing on bouts of depression if left unchecked. So is it really a psychological condition? Dr. Meg Arrell, a psychologist and author who specialises in health states, says that cabin fever isn't included in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, but it is not also a diagnosable psychological and psychiatric condition. But in her words, it can be viewed as a syndrome. According to Dr. Arrell, cabin fever can be characterised by a set of symptoms. These will include restlessness, impatience, a lack of energy and enthusiasm, low mood, low motivation, problems concentrating, sleep issues including trouble getting to sleep, staying asleep and a desire to nap regularly, food cravings and an inability to handle stress. All of the above symptoms are rooted in a sense of isolation from the world, stemming from restricted activities, such as those being imposed at the present time, explains Dr. Arrell. With the coronavirus pandemic bringing with it self-isolation and enforced social distancing, you're certainly not alone if you're beginning to feel the pressure of being cooped up at home all day. So here in Dubai, we've gone from nightly curfews to a full lockdown requiring permission to leave the building, and now we're back onto nightly curfews. But if you're out and about during the day, face masks are mandatory. It is, of course, vitally important that everyone sticks to the new measures issued by their home country to help ensure that all communities are safe. But if your mental health is struggling and you're beginning to feel cabin fever set in, what can you do to cope? Point 1. Embrace the uncomfortable feeling and emotions. In a situation where it's impossible to walk away from your current circumstance, it's important that you face your emotions and feelings. We often try to escape or ignore uncomfortable feelings, which tends to magnify them. Instead, turn the tables on cabin fever and view each sensation through a lens of inquisitiveness. How about asking yourself what each sensation feels like in your body? Is it in a certain area, your head, chest or limbs? Can you give it a colour, name or a characteristic? By investigating each sensation, you will grow accustomed to it and the negative influence these symptoms have will diminish. Even though we are physically distant from each other at present, there is still so many ways in which to nurture a sense of connection, both with others and the world around you. Connect with others, connect with nature, and connect with yourself. Schedule regular video chats with friends and family, rather than relying solely on email or WhatsApp, and pick up the phone instead of just texting your friends and family. Try to get some fresh air if you're somewhere where it's currently permitted, and it is well evidenced that spending time in nature is the balm to the mind. When outdoors, mindfully observe 5 sights, 4 sounds, 3 smells, 2 sensations, whilst then bringing your mind back to one present moment. To meaningfully connect with yourself, how about writing a letter to yourself each week and place these in a personal family mailbox? Sometimes these letters could be profound reflections. Other times they could simply include daily observations. When this social isolation period is finished, take them out and read them each in turn, either alone or with someone that you love. This would allow you to use this time in an incredibly positive way, triggering self-development that can potentially enhance your future. Resist the urge to spend your time curled up on the sofa and binge watching box sets. Your body and your mind will thank you later, I promise. We all have activities and hobbies that we've wanted to try but somehow haven't got round to. Whilst most of us still need to do some work, the time saved on commuting and travelling can be mindfully filled with creative and enjoyable tasks. If we allow our minds to remain idle for too long, it can quickly find negative points to fixate on. If you need help, YouTube has instruction videos for pretty much everything you can think of, and research has shown that arts and creative projects help people cope with difficult experiences and conditions. It's also a good way to manage stress, reduce intrusive thoughts, and it produces a sense of achievement. Point 2. Stick to a schedule. Devising a daily and weekly plan will add structure to your time of self-isolation, which can help you manage feelings associated with cabin fever. You may not want to set your alarm as early as you would do when commuting, but maintaining regular sleep and wake times will help you maintain your sleep-wake cycle. This is important as cabin fever seems to overlap with seasonal affective disorder, SAD, wherein the primary mechanism is believed to be the disruption of the production of neurochemicals, including melatonin and serotonin, which control our natural internal process that regulates the sleep-wake rhythm and mood. Write down your new schedule in a diary or print it out on a big A3 sheet, and then make it visible to yourself and your whole family. The act of scheduling helps us ground ourselves in a daily routine, which can help us feel part of this world once again. Cabin fever and relationships. Of course, while those self-isolating alone may well be feeling the effects of cabin fever, the implications for those self-isolating with friends or even family are also huge. Many of us are used to our individual space and independence, as we tend to work and socialise separately. Suddenly being forced together on a more permanent basis without the option to walk out of the house whenever we wish can put a strain on these relationships. No matter how big or small your home is, we're all going to feel the effects of cabin fever over this period of self-isolation. For those families with school-aged children, the strong advice is to create the daily schedule. Break up the day into hourly chunks. Start the day with some reading and writing, then some time for maths, and then some downtime for exercise in the garden, if you're lucky enough to have one. In times of uncertainty, structure and predictability are very important for everyone. As for couples, being in isolation for weeks at a time could be challenging. You're literally in each other's space 24/7. Due to this, it's important to talk to each other and agree on some ways of living that can ensure your time together is harmonious. How about following some of these ideas to encourage harmony and allow for some much needed personal space? Have separate work areas so that you don't interrupt or interfere with each other's workflow. Set up regular daily and weekly routines. Respect each other's routine, needs and boundaries. Communicate your needs clearly to help avoid disputes. And finally, take breaks away from each other to ensure you each have time alone. So a big thank you to the experts. I will certainly be remembering these points when it feels like it's getting a bit too much. So that's our topic for today. I hope you found some points of use and interest. For more information, check out the resources within the Learning Hub on Amali.com. Additionally, go to Amali.com and subscribe for updates and activities on topics aimed to help us all be more successful in life. Thank you once again for listening. Keep safe and smile always.